Yeah, your TV's back on. It's your boy Denzel with Denzel Sports Takes back at it again. And today and tonight, I should really say, we had the Western Conference Finals, Game 4. We had another game with OKC and the Spurs. And man, listen, it was a dominant game for the San Antonio Spurs. And quite honestly, I think they got into this game knowing because of how their last game was. They didn't really put up a good effort. It was a subpar effort. Defensively, they didn't play that well. And today, man, listen, the guards got at it. The guards got at it entirely. I believe, honestly, their game plan very early was to take Shea out of the game. Shea is going to get his from time to time, and we know with the foul situation and that whole situation within itself, as far as like if you want to call it like foul baiting, it can be frustrating to see the game in that format. I can't even lie, especially as one basketball being one of my favorite sports to watch. It does take away from the game a little bit, but I do believe that I think he got the element of his game from CP3. I'm a huge CP3 fan. Anybody that loves me knows that I'm a huge CP3 fan as far as one of the best point guards of all time. And I think his time in Oklahoma City, he really took SGA under his wing and taught him a lot of things. And I think as far as the standpoint of the game and be able to have certain ways to manipulate things in the game as far as against the refs, he learned that from CP3, and he's taken it and ran with it. The foul that he had in tonight's game, which was crazy, with De'Aaron Fox pretty much just sliding out of the way, and they still called a foul. And even on the replay, you can see that he didn't even touch SGA. Reggie Miller, Jamal Crawford, that were on the color commentary, even explaining in detail, it was like, nah, that's not even a foul. But the thing was, in my humble opinion, what I've seen in this game, like I said from the jump, I believe the Spurs got to the point there was just like, you know what, we gotta take shit out of the game. We gotta let the others beat us. And Wemby cannot be stopped by anybody on that team. Outside of sometimes when they have Caruso come down and defend him down low, which is really still a mismatch. But it kind of, his defensive pedigree and his ability to try to get him out of his space kind of works a little bit. Although Wemby's still going to be Wemby. I mean, talk about a 7'4" guy with a out of this world wingspan that can pull up and shoot the three like he's a guard and dribble down the court like he's a guard. So his abilities is out of his world. That's why they call him the alien. But very early, when you got to the first quarter, they were up by, they had like a 12-point lead easily. OKC pretty much could not get to any type of continuity amongst the game. I feel like as though, especially once again, as I speak on, you see that Chet is a liability. He doesn't have the ability to really defend Wemby. And listen, I love the fact that Wemby takes it personal. I mean, if you know anything about their history, it was way back when, around that time, Wemby actually fouled out in the game that they played each other in as far as when they were in high school. And Wemby fouled out, and they gave the MVP to Chet. And ever since then, Wemby has had a consistent grudge against Chet. So it's his best ability to like really go at him every single time. And I love it because it brings that old element of old school basketball where there were rivalries, especially at the big position. You had Shaq and Yao Ming, you had Tim Duncan, you have Kevin Garnett. Those type of like, hey man, I don't care what we're going to do. At the end of the day, when we on this court, it's all or nothing. And so it's to a point now that every single time Wemby gets to the paint or he defends, we saw he had a huge block against Chet, blocked his shot. So it's like it's an ongoing thing, and like I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. And it really shows you what type of element or the type of player that Wemby is and what he's going to become, and he can really eclipse so much among itself. And it's kind of like a comparison between him and Wilt Chamberlain, because Wilt was doing things out of this world. Now I know, as far as our generation or certain people, we kind of discredit him a little bit only because of the era that he played in, even though that's his respective era. And even me as a basketball fan, I'm like, well, dang, I think Wilt should be measured in this high category, but it's also, dang, a lot of the players he's playing against wasn't as skillful as him. Other person that could really compare to him at the time that was putting up numbers and also was one of the greatest champions of all time was Bill Russell. But that just goes to show you, scaling it back to today, that's the closest thing we've seen outside of him, outside of Kareem with the hook shot. But as far as his ability to be able to move around like he does, it's senile. Honestly, it really is senile. I mean, his ability to shoot a half-court shot at 7 foot tall and do all the things that he can do, as far as, like I said, can bring the basketball down like a point guard, all those things, it shouldn't even be done. So it's amazing to see that in front of you. But as I continue to talk about, as far as, like I said, the Spurs really made it their business to really get ahead of things and to not let their foot off the gas at all. And, Wemby had about 33 points. He went 11 for 22. He didn't have an excellent shoot night, but the other people around him really did a good job. Another element to me, and as you see this progress throughout the series, I know he dealt with injuries as far as like with his ankle. He missed 2 games. He missed game 1 and game 2, but they needed him really big in game 3 and then currently game 4. I believe De'Aaron Fox is really showing his veteran pedigree because, like I said, when you have certain players and you have a young nucleus like you have the Spurs, you need veteran players. And to me, he stepped up and shown that. And there's a lot of key moments that he's made plays that has been very visible. And you see the elements of what De'Aaron Fox is, and especially him come out of Kentucky. Me as a Lakers fan, and not to dive fully into that, there was this question if we could have went him, Alonzo, we ended up going Alonzo Ball. But we had a highly chance to get De'Aaron Fox. I mean, before he got picked up by the Kings, we were very close to drafting him. Like, it was really, it led headlines a little bit, especially because it was in question. And I remember there's even a photo of him holding on all the hats and stuff from teams who would draft him. But I say that to say because De'Aaron Fox has always been another guard that I feel like a lot of people don't always talk about because he unfortunately played for an organization that wasn't that good. And so finally him being in a position where he can really show his capabilities, whether it's passing the ball, whether it's, setting players up, his ability to be able to, take the right shots and create the right momentum plays is really effective. And it's shown in this series. This was a game that Spurs needed to have because they could not afford to go down 3-1, especially on their own home court. Really get another game on their own home court really helped them, especially as we're going to go back to Oklahoma City after this game. To me, I have this series going in 7 games. I have OKC winning the series. I still have OKC winning. But OKC really got a issue in their hands because they cannot stop Wemby. And the thing is that the Spurs match up so well against them. We've seen this in the regular season. They matched up so well against them. And them having the ability to have guards that can really defend is really elite. Like, it really, really is. Like, Harper and Castle, those guys right there, man, listen, they go full throttle. And that don't mean if they have to score, if they have to assist, big steals, whatever they're going to do, they're going to get it done. And having those 2 young guards is amazing. And it's crazy because, especially with Dylan Harper, his dad is legend Ron Harper, who was a former Clipper, Bull. So to see him have that same defensive pedigree as his dad did, that's amazing to see. Because often that usually doesn't transition. Maybe a guy might get half and half of what their dad had or vice versa, but he actually has a lot of his dad in his game. I'm not sure anybody else has realized it, but like I said, his defensive pedigree as far as playing defense is really good to see. And I think his dad didn't ever get the credibility of how good he was as far as making plays and being a playmaker himself, especially his Clipper days. I know he played a little bit differently because what the Bulls asked of him when he went there in the 90s, but when he was with the Clippers, he was an excellent guard, and his ability to facilitate and set players up and score himself. So for him to have that same trait passed down to his son is really amazing to see. I think what's going to be a difference maker into Game 5, which is going to have to happen, OKC is going to have to figure out a way to, you may not be able to completely stop Wemby, but you're going to have to figure out a way to neutralize him. because the last thing you want is for him to dominate like he did in the first game. And he scored 43, 24 rebounds. I mean, oh my God, that half court shot was crazy within itself. They're going to have to make some things happen. They had some bad turnovers that happened in the game as well. You cannot have that, especially when it comes to the playoffs. You cannot have that many turnovers going into the game. I mean, if we look at the differential between two teams, into this game so far, what happened was, we could even look at rebounds, but as far as looking at turnovers, OKC had more turnovers. OKC had 20 turnovers compared to San Antonio Spurs had 13 turnovers. And we know, like any other sport, especially any team sport, you cannot have so many turnovers because it's not going to do you any justice. And as many possessions that you can get can help you at the betterment. And you got to take good shots too. I mean, from the field, overall, as far as, field goal percentage, OKC had shot 33 from the field. Spurs shot 39. And that wasn't super high for either team because you want to be more so in the 40 percentile as far as shooting from the floor. But, it got the job done because, like I said, Spurs defense tapped in. This wasn't a game that was really on the essence of shooting the three. Lately in the past couple games, we've seen Alex Caruso really heat up, especially come off the bench and getting those cookies, like I used to like to say, which is steals, if you don't know. Those abilities to be able to get those fast break points. OKC didn't have much of that tonight. Like I said, they really got neutralized in the way they play and set up their offense. And Spurs had a really excellent job of that. My expectations going into this next game, I think OKC gets the next game. I really think it's going to be like a back and forth kind of thing right now because right now we're tied at 2-2 going to game 5. I believe OKC wins back at home. And then the next game, game 6, I believe Spurs win. Game 7 is going to be it's going to be a nail biter. I think OKC pulls it out when they're very close when the winning series to go to the NBA Finals. But man, this is what we want to see. We've seen it since game 1. It's been an excellent series. But I think sometimes when you start to play teams back to back like you do, and like I said, these teams played each other about four times this past regular season, but this current regular season rather. And Spurs got the better of OKC. Well, we're starting to see some of that kind of spill into the postseason, into tonight's game. So, as you start to go through a series and the more games you play a team, you start to recognize some of the things they do. And teams are not going to change too much on what they do throughout the series. They may change lineups here and there. They might do some switches or whatever the case may be. They might not do certain plays that they normally would do and might add some things and remove some things. But for the most part, they're going to be the essence of who their team is and whoever they run the game by. And we all know the game is run by SGA. I'm not sure Jalen Williams, the first Jalen Williams, not the one that looked like Duke Dennis, but Jalen Williams, I don't think he's going to come back with the soft tissue injury with the hamstring. With hamstrings, they're very iffy. I just don't know if he's going to be able to make a comeback back. In my humble opinion, I think he's probably going to be out this entire series. We might not see him again if the OKC goes to the finals. Maybe game 1 just to see how it goes. He might test it out. But, yeah, I just don't see him playing the rest of the time. It's just amazing seeing this, though, because both of these teams are very young teams, by the way. They both have leadership on the teams. But let's not forget, it was a couple years ago that the Spurs was struggling trying to figure out what they were trying to be after the Kawhi went to the Toronto, and they was trying to figure all that out. And, they had a couple players they replaced in, but it didn't really work out too much. And when I look at it now after, unfortunately Pop having a stroke, and I'm so glad that they're still keeping him around and keeping him, moving. I'm glad he's in good spirits and good health moving forward. I feel like the true dignity and the wave of who the Spurs are is a piece. He's a piece of them, and they're still keeping him around, and he's still giving players wisdom. Like, you see Wemby sitting down with him, like other players on the team sitting down with him, learning things. You just seen throughout the game, end of the game, Tim Duncan was in the skybox talking to him. So it's cool to see that. I'm glad he's in good spirits. I'm glad we still got Pop. And the head coach now, like, you can see that he's a player's coach. And that's good to have, because players like to get behind like coaches like that. And you can see he makes adjustments throughout the game too. I think he's really going to be that pedigree of what Pop was. And you can see it in how they play and they get behind things. And it's just that same kind of mantra. And I love it, honestly. I really do, especially like this is a young team. Mind you, Wemby's only 22, y'all. Like, he's only going to continue to get better. And at some point, he's going to start stacking up MVPs. He's going to start stacking up championships. Like, the Spurs are not going anywhere. Like, this is a team moving forward. Like, they're going to be one of those teams that are going to be like those cornerstone teams in the league, where it's like, okay, we know we're going to be one of the 4 teams coming down to lead to the finals. We already know that. So, like I said, I look forward to seeing this next game. I believe the game comes on, let's see here. We double check, because the game that I'm going to talk about next, before we finish this out, is going to change depending on how this game goes. So we get that game 5. We get game 5 on Tuesday, May 26th. Okay. So that's not bad. That's pretty solid, you know. That's pretty solid. I can't complain about that one. Okay. Bet. Yeah, so we get that game 5 on Tuesday. And like I said, I have OKC winning that game 5 to make it a 3-2 series. And then I believe the Spurs win game 6 to make it a 3-3 series. And we go into game 7 for it all. We're going to go home to go to this championship. Now, this next one I'm going to talk about, Eastern Conference Finals, game 4. And, oh, damn, I forgot to do something. Huh, y'all give me a second. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Give me a second. I got carpet, but sometimes you gotta sweep the floor. You know what I'm saying? Cause, oh my God, listen, y'all, it's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. Sometimes you gotta sweep the floor. It's over. Oh my God. It's over, y'all. The Knicks about to sweep them CAVS, y'all. It's over. Listen. They're already trying to put out a mandate to try to have protection over over the neighborhood in New York and stuff like that in the city, because how the series going. And New York Knicks fans go crazy in the city every single time they win a game, y'all. Especially when they get to playoff time. Bing bong, like for real, like Tim's about to get put on. It's over. When I seen the last minute, it was pretty last minute or so, and them boys just let Brunson get it easy lay to the rim, I said, yeah, it's over. It was already over. But you can tell mentally, and their heart is out of it. And going into that game, and this was really a situation where the Cavs had to win, because you cannot afford to go down 3-0. And we know the beyond history, it's like 100 and like so teams that have went down 3-0 that have tried to come back and have not. It's literally 0 teams that have ever come back from 3-0. 3-1, yes, because we know LeBron with the Cavs, 2016. This is for you, Cleveland. We already know all that. But this is just. I can't even fathom. I can't even fathom, y'all. Listen, I truly believe that what is about to happen, it's going to be a sweep. And the Cavs are going to have to make some serious decisions on what they do going forward for their team. Because you cannot consistently have two bigs that play soft. You can't. Evan Mobley, you're supposed to be like Chris Bosh. Jared Allen, listen, you're supposed to be a dominant center. You're supposed to be able to be an interior defender. Can you at least give them like 18? Really, you should really be giving them 20. But the way the Cavs play is just, it's no continuity. It's just like everybody's for, I wouldn't even want to really say for self, but it kind of is. It's like, okay, you get yours. Okay, you get yours. Oh, okay, you get yours. And, oh yeah, you get yours. It's no offense. It's no set offense. And Donovan Mitchell was off his game. I don't know what happened with him mentally. He wasn't shooting well with the free throw line, which is really odd because he's really a high percent shooter at the free throw line. I don't know what happened or what transpired. I ain't gonna put it on Coco because I know he been playing well when Coco was there, and I don't really think I ain't gonna think that was another situation within itself. I know some people gonna say, Coco there. I don't think it was. I think he was good, but I just think something was missing. Something was missing. Their hearts were already defeated, and I really believe with them losing that game and was up by 22 points, they were already defeated from there. I mean, to allow a team to come back from a 22-point lead when at the end of the third, going to the fourth, and you blew it, and then you still had an opportunity in overtime, you still blew it. Yeah, that just don't sit right for me. And I think it definitely did a lot of damage to them. They're just completely out of it. James Harden we already know what that is. Like I said, I believe that the Knicks go to the finals. Depending on whoever goes out of the West, they're going to be beat up and battered a little bit, but I think it's going to still be a Western Conference team in the championship this year. The Knicks got a lot of time to be able to be idle. I think they should take advantage of that while they have the time, especially. But you still need to be able to come out fully game one ready out the gate immediately. But I think the Knicks go to the finals. I think they lose, though. Who win this game in the West, I think they lose. But I don't know. Given my thoughts, honestly, I had questions about the Knicks all year, especially once it's all season. I still don't know if they're going to keep Cat, though. I still have a funny feeling Giannis might get traded there for Cat. If not, he might get traded to Miami. I don't know. That's to be seen. But there's going to be a lot of trades this offseason, by the way, too. I'm just going to let that be known in the NBA. There's going to be a lot of trades. A lot of trades. I don't know if anybody knows that, but there's going to be a lot of trades and movements of players on teams this offseason. But I didn't think this was going to be a sweep in this ECF. I thought at least, like, I had given, especially on the two teams that we're going for, I had the Knicks still winning the series regardless. I just didn't think it would be a sweep. I thought maybe like 4-2, 4-3, like maybe, really like 4-2, at least 4-2. I thought Cleveland get at least 2, but not to get none, and y'all better get swept tomorrow night. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. But, man, they about to get swept, y'all. But before we close this thing out on this, I just want to say we got more content coming for NBA. It's really kind of tough to kind of film NBA, honestly, just getting this thing started because the games are back to back. And honestly, I want to do some of my short content on my other social media platforms. But for me, I want to dive into the game. And, I want to really be able to give my analysis on certain things. But continue to stay with me. I'm going to get some WNBA content going in because the season started off with that. That's exciting, all my WNBA lovers, all my soon-to-be WNBA lovers. We're going to get you tapped in, too. Y'all know who I'm talking to. If you know who I'm talking to y'all. We're going to get y'all tapped in, too. But let's close this thing out. Like I said, my predictions is that pretty much OKC is going to win Game 5. Spurs are going to win Game 6. We'll get back to it once we do get back to it. And I think I do know the Knicks are going to clear it out. They're going to clear it out. The Butter's going to be out. New York going to be hyped in a mug. The chopped cheese is going to be on point, and they're going into the finals. But hey, if you like this type of content, hey, I'm trying to get this channel to 100 subscribers. I'm really excited to continue to grow this channel. Hit the bell so that when you never miss any notifications. Subscribe, like, and comment so we can kind of get this thing rolling in the algorithm. I'm going to have a little bit more things come down the pipeline this week I'm working towards. Also, check out my TikTok. I got that in the link in the bio for the channel. But if you love sports like I do, just tap in. It's your boy Denzel. Denzel Sports Takes. We out.